Just over 100 years ago, in 1885, the Canadian government hung a man named Louis Riel, and he said a statement, said, "My people will sleep for 100 years, and when they awaken, it'll be the artist who awakens them." When we see how they can change history just in a little amount of time, and they can change a truth just in a little amount of time that we've seen in the last few years, and how you can twist reality. A lot of people saw that as the Red River Rebellion, and Louis Riel as a freedom fighter that was standing to fight for the natives and the Métis and the people of the land, the people that haven't been colonized by the Canadian government. And he stood and had to stand right into battle. And then there's another side of history that calls it the Red River Massacre. And that's the side of history that hung that great man. And he was a prophet of God. That's what he lived for. This is why he wanted to be this way. He had that vocation in life, and he was a powerful man. And I see now what has happened and how we were divided. And we're told this story of history that we've always been divided. Well, that is obviously not the case if we actually look back. There was times where we lived all together. Louis Riel was only a quarter or an eighth native, but that had nothing to do with what he was fighting for. He was fighting for us all. He was fighting for us all to have free land. My grandfather was born in Batoche. This is the town that Louis Riel was captured in before he was hung. And so my great-grandfather would have been in the same town around this exact same time. And a lot of people ran away from the natives after that point, because after that rebellion, they did one of those great resets like they're trying to do to us right now. And in doing that, in resetting our history, they set in all of these racisms into our minds and all these prejudices against natives and against other races and against all of these things. And they teach us tribalism, right? And so even people that were part native decided to stop telling their children that they were native because they didn't want them to be associated with this group because of how their blood was taken out of their skin by indoctrination. And this was how we were colonized. We were all colonized. And as I was showing in my last video about how I'm comparing what's going on in Israel between Israel and Palestine, and how I'm comparing it to what's happening here with this land back movement. Because when we mix these like religions and races together and say this is our land, look at what it's done in the long term. And as in my other video, I showed that we are all blood. 3,000 years ago, Max was our last ancestor that we share with the entire universe. So all of these racisms and all this schisms and all this stuff, they were created to divide us. You know, when the 12 tribes or the 10 lost tribes left Israel in 722 BC, they went all around the world. And so there's a lot of us out here that are standing up in these times, that we're here to do this, and we were pulled out of the low thinking into the higher thinking, so that we could bring in and realize that we have to use our truth and our power to spread the music. And this, if you play music, then use your music to get out there. If you do art, use that music to get out there and help fulfill this destiny and this prophecy that was written by Louis Riel. And let's just pray and put all our intention to us forgetting about the things that divide us and working on the trauma that these divisions are based upon. Because when we have these things that have happened, like the colonizers come and the colonized become traumatized, and that turns into racisms, and those are things that we have to deal with. Is the actual fact that yes, these dark things have been done, and it's just absolutely disgusting. And we're all praying for better days for us all to come together right now. What makes us colonized is whether we're awake to what's going on or not, or whether you're just continuing to follow and enable this old world. So when I think about what the Zionist movement is a political movement and a movement for power. And they mix it in and are using this book to this day to prove their right to the land. And that's how you use this book and the writings in this for satanic causes. This is my land. No. This is our land. And what does it mean to be a steward of the land and maybe to be indigenous to the land? It's to be living with nature and trying to do everything you can to get away from all our old comforts, you know? We don't have to go back to living in teepees and chasing buffalo, because that just won't be sustainable. But the more we can get off of these food networks, these huge centralized food networks and all these things that just put power into these evil people's hands, and they're poisoning us with their pesticides that are causing all sorts of evils upon our body. These are the kind of things that separate us from the Babylon. And yes, there is a dividing line. And that is the evil that's in the hearts of the people. It's not the people that are evil. We're all possessed by different ideologies and ideas and demons. And that's why we have to know about our darkness. And that's a lot of what when we can finally admit that, wow, I've been acting out, I have had this trauma and I've been acting out upon the world because of my trauma. That is integrating and knowing, wow, I do have a dark side, and that's admitting to your dark side, you know? Whenever I think about one race coming and taking the land back and taking all the control and letting who knows who's corrupted, right? To me, we have to have transparent new world of elected, competent people. And yes, there'll be natives in that group. There'll be people from all backgrounds, you know, but based on competence. And, you know, one of the darkest works of the devil is weaponized compassion. When we see what can happen to the world when we're trying to be equal to everyone, have outcome of equality, and how it can just destroy things, because then we don't look at anything and realize what powers certain people have and what competence certain people have, and why we would turn to them, and why we can turn to our own neighbors and to our own people to help heal each other, to help grow each other's food, how we can do all that, because then we'll put our egos down and realize who are the competent people, right? Our common enemy is the crown. They still hold our land. And when we take back our minds, which is all these people saying, you're a colonizer, this and that, and they're calling all white people or all people that aren't from here colonizers, that's their minds still being colonized. And so when we can get past all these divisions and realize that we are all 12 tribes from way back, we are all together from the same ancestor, no longer than 3,000 years ago, then we can stop playing this game of my land. It's very childish. And these are the reasons why we have to have more competence in the world and more people that we can control right in our own communities, you know? Control our own communities with competence and God. A lot of people are agnostic or even atheist. At least they tell themselves they're that. But they're actually very godly people. They just don't know it yet. So we need to come together now and rise up. If we keep worrying about division and being divided down here on the ground, we're gonna miss what's important, and that's turning and looking at our actual enemy. When we pacify the people on the ground and turn them against each other and take away all the people that are gonna stand up and really against something as scary as the government. And then we have all of this dark father ruling over us. And that's why we need to balance and bring back the divine masculine into our communities. And the divine masculine is speaking the truth and looking any demon in the eye. The meek will inherit the earth, and the meek are those who have the swords, know how to use them, but keep them sheathed unless absolutely necessary. So keep your sword sharp and keep your mind sharper, because we're in the midst of a battle. A lot of people don't even know that the battle is actually here on the ground. This is a civil war of ideas. But the Great Awakening has started. People are really knowing what truth is. So that's why I encourage you all out there, speak your truth. It will be heard. The Great Awakening is upon us. The Lord is blessing us with this new day and this new world. But we cannot just wait around for the second coming. We can't just wait around for someone to save. No, we are a part of it. Action. Our words are actions. I'm moving molecules, I'm making vibrations, and I'm sending them out, and it's going inside people's minds and creating change. And that's what we have to do right now. That's how we can help people towards their awakening. Help pull them out of the rivers, you know. pray that all of us realize that even here on this three-dimensional plane called Earth, we are all of the same blood. 6 neutrons, 6 electrons, and 6 protons. However, much more importantly, we are all from the same God, and we have all been saved. The story has already been told. But please don't just pray. Go out and help bring this story to fruition. The reason God knew we were going to win this battle is because He knew you were going to stand up. He knew you were going to speak those important words that needed to be heard by those people. You are all a part of the prophecy if you choose to be. Play your music, use it to speak your truth. Get out there and move the world with your music, with your art. So we'll take back our minds by relieving the trauma with healing vibrations and conscious, truthful words. Bring Christ into our hearts, and He will always provide us that truth, and He'll always help us do our very best to be just like Him. We will elect new and competent leaders the way of Lady Justice, blindly. Much love and God bless.